What up YouTube, Yuan here. Welcome to the Exposure Triangle. For this video, we'll be talking about the concept of luck and how I understood and applied the concept of luck in street photography and in my own work. So let's go ahead to the computer so that we may be able to discuss it more in depth. Alright, so we are now here in the presentation. So again, just to reiterate, we will be talking about the concept of luck and how I understood luck in street photography. The way I understand luck is that we have two types of luck. We have the natural type of luck, of which I call now chance, and then the unnatural type of luck, of which I call opportunity. Now, when we say chance, it is the type of luck we receive from the streets through certain specific moments that we see and recognize. Opportunity is the luck that we create for ourselves through the application of certain tools, learned skills, and techniques. And so, for example, when we go out, we take our usual walks and we take a photo of something that we feel is very familiar, but somehow it also feels something very fresh, something very new. Then that particular moment, that particular scene, we call it chance because it is something unexpected and it is something that we received from the street. Now, what happens if we are unable to receive few things from the street? There are a few things that we can do. We can move ourselves to a different location, move ourselves to a different time, meaning wait for the day, and maybe use a different tool for us to create certain types of moments. Sorry, certain type of moments where where we did not expect and we really thought about, since we were constantly using the usual tool that we go and use when you take photos on the street. So for example, if we constantly use a wider focal length like 24 or 28 mil equivalent, then by switching to a much tighter focal length like a 50 or 75 equivalent, then we may be able to see certain photos, certain moments, certain chances that we didn't actually in our wildest dreams have ever thought of seeing or taking. So I have here a few photos that I would like to use to further illustrate what I'm talking about, especially regarding chance and opportunity. Alright, so we are now here in the first photo, and this is the first photo that somehow was a turning point to me. I am not a very good photographer for that particular matter. And this one was one of the first photos that really opened my eyes to the concept of luck, chance, and opportunity. And so this was taken 2018. For those who take black and white photos, I would like to apologize because it is a bit gray. This is how I used to edit some of my street photographs when I was starting out. And so the idea for this particular photo was I wanted to take a photo where there is a very interesting car in front of or in the foreground of the particular photo or the particular frame. And also I wanted it to have on the background a very clear road. I prefer not to have public utility vehicles and private vehicles on the road so that it'll be a very clean image. However, I wasn't very lucky, and so there were cars everywhere, there was traffic, and so I took a bunch of photos of different cars, and I saw this car. I remember this car being very unique because it has a finish where if you look at it on a different angle, it is purple, on a different angle it is dark blue, On a different angle, it's a bit yellow orange-ish, and so it was very interesting. So I was drawn to it, and I thought of taking photos of it. You know, when I got home, I was editing it, and I was quite surprised that I was able to capture a particular uh, probably moment that somehow um, surprised me. And this particular moment was this image on the glass. So we see here um, cloud formations where somehow it formed two eyes closed. If you're familiar with the Shroud of Turin, that was my initial reaction. It felt like, um, since I felt I was very unlucky, it felt like God created, or, in a very spiritual sense, God somehow gave me a unique opportunity to take a photo of. So this was by chance. The clouds formed two eyes close together, close. For those who are not familiar with the Shroud of Turin, the Shroud of Turin is the cloth where there is a, how would you say, a silhouette of Jesus' face. And so when I was editing this in color initially, I was surprised and I decided to switch it to black and white. This to me was the first photo that um, opened my eyes to the concept of chance, wherein when you go out on the street, this was my initial thought. You go out on the street, there will always be chances for us to see, chances for us to create photos of. So these are things that we cannot control. They happen constantly. They happen in a 360 angle. Something is happening in front of you, something is happening behind you, on your side, on your peripheral vision, on your blind sides. Everything happens. Everything, they just happen. They don't stop. And so for a street photographer, it is our job to see them and recognize them as they are in that particular moment. So this was the first photo. I quite like this because of this particular moment. The second photo was somehow intentional. As I mentioned, with opportunity for us to create our own luck, we have the privilege to move ourselves to a different location, or to move ourselves to a different time, meaning to wait for the day. At this particular walk, still 2018, I had a ton of time. I got tired of walking, and I was not seeing moments that I wanted to capture with my camera. And so I decided, why not move to a different location? Maybe let's go to a mall or something like that. And so I took the jeepney. In the Philippines, we have tons of public utility vehicles, taxis and jeepneys. And so I took a jeepney. Again, 2018, hence we didn't wear masks then. Remember those times? Anyway, yeah, I took a jeepney. I was in the front seat, and I was taking photos of certain individuals out on the street also waiting for a jeepney. And then this happens. This is actually a cropped image. The original image, I have an element somewhere around here, the very left side, because in the front seat you'll have the how would you say that, the barrier that holds the front glass of the car or the vehicle, and hence you can see another frame or another moment on that particular side. And so at first I did take a photo of that and just edited it as is, and then one of my friends, who's also my mentor, pointed out that I think you need to focus on this particular moment because this was the most important moment. When he mentioned that to me, I somehow realized how important it was. The importance of this moment was I was um, lucky enough to see the chance of taking a photo or having a photo with multiple circular elements. So this is by chance. So we have one, two, three, four, five. And then if you take into account the guy, the bald guy, six. So one, two, three, four, five, six. Right? Now, this was the chance. Um, I enabled this chance to happen mainly because I decided to take a jeepney and move myself to a different location. If I haven't done that, most probably I wouldn't be able to take this photo. It's something very unique. Other than the circular objects, it created a particular situation wherein, if you see here, we have five clear circular images. Somehow, on this side, let's include that. On this side, sorry for the illustrations though, but on this side, it's somehow being reflected. And at this time, the jeepney was moving too quickly, and so there were multiple circular images that reflected on the glass, and so it created a bit of a distortion. If you look at the person, he is holding his head and seemingly had this expression that he is confused. And so you may be able to assume that he is confused because of this particular moment, or the fact that we have multiple circular elements that he is unable to comprehend it. And then the funny thing is, he is also a circular element. And so this chance, although this was very unexpected and very natural, I enabled myself to be able to take this photograph and record that point in time where this particular moment happened. This example, this is one of my most favorite photos. This was purely by chance. We see here multiple elements. We have the rule of odds. We have funny people, and then we have what we call faces in places. Okay? And so, still around 2018, this was, I think, a few days before Halloween. And on this day, this was probably 2 weeks or a week after Scott Kelby Worldwide Photo Walk. Some of the participants, we decided, to have a photo walk after Scott Kelby. And so we decided on the day and where we would like to go. In Davao City, we have here what we call Oyanguren, which is also Chinatown. And so the idea was we would be walking along the street, and then we will go to Magsaysay Park at the very end of Chinatown. And so we decided on the date, and I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm not so sure, but it was a weekend. And then I remember I was there a little bit early. And so what I did, I went straight into Magsaysay Park. I rode a jeepney. I thought we'll be walking later, and so there will be no point in taking photos of moments that will be happening now. So I took a jeepney, I went to Magsaysay Park, and I waited there. While waiting, I was walking around. On this particular side, I think this was on the left side of Magsaysay Park. I remember there is a port. And so I thought, maybe I would like to go there, take photos of tourists, people wanting to go on an island vacation, something like that. And so I walked. While I was walking, um, from very far, I could see this person wearing a mask. Just illustrate that. This person. This one was actually a bus. And so there's a bus parked at the side of the road. I believe the bus was waiting for a few passengers to board the bus so that they may be able to um, they'll be able to go, you know. And so these ladies on the foreground are actually passengers. And so my idea was to take a photo of this guy with the mask. So I was walking with them. I took a bunch of photos and I pre-focused. I remember pre-focusing my lens at the time. I was using my Mikey 35 f1.7. So about 55, 54, 50, yeah, 55, somewhere around that particular ballpark. And so I remember pre-focusing my lens to 1 meter, and I set my aperture to, I believe it was f4 or f5.6. I'm not sure. And so while I was pre-focusing my lens, I was taking multiple shots so that I may be able to gauge if I was in focus. And so I took, I think, from the start of the walk going towards this person, I took a bunch of photos, like 10 or 5. And then when I was near, I took this photo. Again, this is a crop image. There are a few elements here and a few elements here. But it was too distracting that I didn't want it to interrupt this particular moment. So I took a photo of this guy with a mask, with a skull mask on, and it would somehow symbolize death. What's good about this one was that Death was selling water, life. Death was selling life to passengers who would meet their own demise. I hope not. So, knock on wood. Yeah, Death was selling water to these passengers. What's good about this one was I took this scene with only this intention. However, I was lucky enough to have a scene where there are an odd number of people. So we have here 1, 2, 3 in a silhouette, 4, and then 5. On top of that, I was able to take this photo with a few textures: checkered, stripes, hearts, and then I don't know what this is, Louis Vuitton. And then on the bus we have here reflections of the trees or of the surrounding. At the very end, we have here a building with 2 windows that would somehow represent eyes and then an open mouth, giving us the impression of wow or oh my god, which was also my expression when I took this photo and I reviewed it in camera, and I was like, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. And so in relation to chance and opportunity, the opportunity was we decided on a particular walk, and I decided to just take a bunch of photos in Magsaysay Park. I saw this person from very far, and I immediately decided to move myself to that particular location where I will be able to take his photograph. What I did not anticipate was the moment that all these elements would come together to form this particular image. Up to this day, still I'm very proud of this photo. And I was very proud that I was able to decide on my own to crop this image to just this particular frame, so that it will not interrupt the viewer's attention and the viewer's eyes towards this particular scene. I call this photo, I think, Death Sells, because death personified by this person with a skull mask selling water. I really like this photo. Next one, I think 2019, 2018, probably late, probably summer 2018. Yeah. This is in San Pedro Street in Davao City. A few of my street photography friends would always go here because the this street is where they mostly capture very good images and very good situations and scenes. And so, being a newbie in this particular genre, I thought, yeah, well, okay, why not? At that time, it was very hot. I remember it was quite hot. There was no clouds. There were very minimal clouds, and so it was a very good day for a photograph. However, not a particularly good day for a walk because it was so hot. At this time, I wasn't very lucky. I took a bunch of images, and when I was reviewing the images, I was actually ready to go home. And then looking up, I remember looking up and thinking it is too hot, probably it would be best for me to go home. And then I realized the sky is very blue. And I was looking around, there are a few people with umbrellas that that has a very shocking color, like orange, yellow, reddish orange. And so my idea was, if the sky is so blue, I need a complementary color to contrast that particular color. Most probably a true red, not a darker red, of which um, the light will be unable to see through the umbrella, but I would call it a true red, so that there will be light somehow shining through the umbrella. And so I was walking, I was looking for that particular umbrella, moving myself from a different point in location to a different point in location, from A to B, B to C, something like that. And then from afar, I saw this particular woman with a very true red, I would say, true red umbrella. So I pre-focused my camera to 1 meter, and I think this was f4. Um, yeah, f4. And then as I moved towards her, I took a bunch of photos, and I was looking at my monitor, and I could see that I wasn't that close. And so I moved closer, and with my 35 Mikey f1.7 on my A6000, it is somehow like a 55 mil equivalent. And so I felt like I was still quite far. And so while nearing her, I intentionally moved towards her location and took her photo. And I remember smiling because she briefly stopped and looked at me, hence why this particular image, she was like, oh, she was doing that, and I just smiled and just walked away. It was nerve-wracking. I'm not very, when I was starting out, I wasn't very upfront, and so it got me really, uh, nervous. So I just smiled and just walked away. Again, chance opportunity. I was where I was supposed to be, if you would say that. And yeah, I was lucky enough to take this photo. One of my favorite photos. Very simple one. Flash forward to 2021. I took this photo with my 7 Artisans 18mm f6.3. I believe I was in the jeepney and I was going to my girlfriend's workplace because we planned on having lunch together. I wasn't really paying close attention to the street. I was with my camera. However, I was looking at outside and I was thinking, oh, that would be a very good photo. That would be a very good photo. And then this scene showed up from afar, and with an 18mm, it translates to roughly a 27 or 28 mil equivalent. And with the 7 Artisans UFO lens, you cannot focus and you cannot switch aperture. And so she was in the shade, and I was like, I need to capture this image. And I was really hoping that the jeepney would slow down, because that's what jeepneys do when they see, a would-be passenger, they would slow down. So I was hoping, I remember hoping and praying, I hope the jeepney slows down so that I may be able to take the image of this good scene. This scene is very sexual in nature. And yeah, the jeepney did slow down. We have here a mannequin. To take note, a bondage mannequin, a bondage naked mannequin. And so, for people who are sexually active, this would be very, very good. Not that I'm saying I'm sexually active though, but it's something that you need to analyze for yourself. Most people, when they see something very sexy, they are drawn towards it because they think it looks nice, it looks sexy, something like that. And so this one, I didn't find this particularly sexy, but I was laughing when I saw this from afar. Oh look, a naked mannequin, bondage. Oh, bondage. So I was like that. My reaction was like that, and I hoped that the jeepney would slow down for this one, because this was the only image that I saw. After taking the photo, I realized the girl was wearing a shirt with a meow word on it, and so somehow it translates to this particular image. Whenever you see something sexy or something beautiful, you say wow or meow in this particular case. And then after that, on the very end, I saw a broken electric fan. To me, this is a very serious photo. This tells me that this whole concept of wowing something that is sexy or something that is beautiful is a very mechanical thing. It is something that is often expected from guys and from girls. And so it got me thinking, are human beings, human individuals, that mechanical, that when they see something sexy, they'll be like, wow, rar, something like that. I'm sorry about the sound effects, but yeah, I'm trying to make a point here that is it really that mechanical that if you see something very sexy, something very beautiful, immediately the first thing you react to is wow, something like that. It's a wow factor, something. And so again, I'm not particularly sexually active, but this was something. Oh, this was one of the photos that it gave me a very serious reputation. And to be totally honest, I'm always serious with my photos and with whatever that I do. Here's a photo. This is I think this is the last photo for the presentation. This is a photo I got when me and my father went to Bangkerohan wet market to buy supplies. This was so early in the day. I believe this was around 5:50 a.m. And so we went to the wet market, and I was half awake, half asleep. And then while walking towards the market, because we parked way far, while we were walking towards the market, I was wiping my eyes of stardust, and I saw this dog on the motorcycle. This dog on a motorcycle. What the hell? Am I dreaming? I sure am. I'm not dreaming. I am awake. I am walking. I am going towards the market. Why is this dog on a motorcycle? I don't know. At that time, I didn't have my camera. All I did have was my smartphone, and my smartphone isn't that good when it comes to photograph. So I took a photograph of the dog. After I took a photograph of the dog, while reviewing it, I saw this image. For those who are familiar with Pokemon, this is, I believe this is Eevee. Um, yeah. So while I was reviewing this photograph, I was surprised to see the dog on the motorcycle contrasted with a cat-like image. I know that Eevee is not a cat. He is a Pokemon. But I mean, just hear me out. A dog on a motorcycle, a cat-like figure on a car, on a truck, on a four-wheeled vehicle. It would appear. So this was the duality that I captured. I thought the only important image here was the dog on the motorcycle. No, there's another animal-like figure on the truck, on another vehicle, contrasted by the dog on the motorcycle. Opportunity that even though I didn't have my camera, I do have a, well, decent smartphone for decent photographs, and I was able to take a photo of this scene. When I saw this image, when I saw the scene, I actually literally stopped and I was like, huh. And then I took out my phone and took a photo. I was fairly quick about it because I was thinking that the dog might run or come down from the motorcycle. I don't know. So I took this photo, and the dog's emotion when he saw me is like the dog's a person's emotion when they see a police officer coming towards them. And so there's that. So anyway, that is the last photo of the topic for today. We didn't talk about this photo. I didn't include this, but basically this is the same with this photo. Multiple circular elements, in this case zeros. Anyway, thank you all for watching the video and watching it until the end. I must say I feel very nervous because I know there'll be a few photographers who might disagree, and I think it's okay that they disagree. This is how I understood my work, and this is how I would analyze my work. I know all of us analyze our works differently. That's fine. You don't really need to agree with what I said, but this is how I understood the concept of luck in street photography. Let me know down in the comments if this was helpful, if this was insightful, if I was able to help you in whatever shape or form. I hope this video was interesting enough to warrant your views, and I hope that this was worthwhile, worth the wait. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe for new content every week. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, this is my IG name, IG ID, U1Data. Thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you next time. Stay safe. Ciao.